Hello. Thank you all very much for being here. My name is Bernard. I am one of the admissions managers with Generation UK and Ireland, and I'm here today just to do a Q&A about our upcoming IT Support with Cybersecurity Bootcamp that we are running in Leeds, in Bristol, and in London starting on January the 29th. So these slides that I have, and I'm just seeing which order of thing, which order is best on screen. The slides that I have are the slides from the information session that I did back on the 5th of December. That's also on YouTube. If you go to our YouTube channel and you click on live, you'll be able to go back and rewatch it there. It's pretty long, but the information contained is good, and I might skim through these slides as part of this Q&A, just if I need to reference any information, or if we're just looking for something to talk about. So this is live. So I see there's already a couple of questions in the chat, and I'll go through these one by one. So if you do have any questions, or if there's something that you're wondering that I'm not covering in full detail, please drop them into the chat and I will get to them. And I intend to be online for about 30 minutes from now until about 5:30. So yeah, thank you all very much for dropping in your questions. I will start at the top. I'll put the question on the bottom of the screen, like this one here from Kritika, and I'll go through them. And apologies if I say anybody's name incorrectly. So Krika, you say, will this IT support with cybersecurity course be conducted every day or just once/twice in a week? So this bootcamp is full-time. It runs for 9 weeks, and it runs from Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. I'm just going to pull up what a schedule looks like, if you'll give me a second with my slides. And there's two reasons that we do our programs full-time. So this is what a typical day could look like. Sorry, the slides are jumping backwards and forwards pretty eagerly. Yeah, this is what a typical day could look like. So starting just before 9 in the morning, with a daily opening where the whole class comes together and people either share presentations or you get a news update for the day. Then you have modules with a break halfway in the morning, some more modules through to lunch, hour off for lunch, and then a bit of work in the afternoon, and finishing about 4:30 every day with some office hours. And those office hours are usually like a one-to-one meeting with your mentor, with your instructor, or some time to do like any group work you might need to do. You're not expected to do any out of class hours. So there are some resources available where you might want to do some testing, or you might want to do some role playing outside of class hours on one of our platforms, but there's no expectations. There's no homework or there's no out of class study. It is all conducted within the day. And then the curriculum is quite comprehensive, so feel free to pause the video and have a look at this in a bit more depth if you like. That it is pretty well outlined, like week 1 through week 9, what you're covering. And there's kind of two reasons why we do full-time training. The first reason is that it's a lot of content. So it's like if you think that it's like the same amount of content as an A-level, but instead of it being spread out over a year or over an academic year, we want to condense it into as short a time as possible to get you from underemployment or unemployment today through to finding your first role in the industry soon after. So instead of just doing an hour or two a week, we condense it so we can get through it as quickly as possible. Secondly is some people have career gaps. So either you might never have worked before, so you finished school or you left school and this is the first thing that you've done in the professional workforce, or you've only been doing work here and there, or maybe you took some time off work to care for your family or for just whatever reason. And sometimes employers can be a little bit nervous about people who don't have like recent experience. So we find that if somebody's finished one of our boot camps and they're able to come to an employer and say that I've been able to attend 95% Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 for the past 9 weeks, an employer then is confident that they are able to take you on, and that you'll be more than able to keep up with the pace of Monday to Friday full-time. So that's kind of the logic of why we do full-time training, and why our classes are structured the way that they are. So getting on to the next question from Lisa. You ask how long will it take to find a job after completing the bootcamp, which is a great question. This is different for everybody. So there's no like one definite answer. We aim to get as many people into work as shortly as possible after graduating. We aim for around, and we achieve often, around 60 to 70% of people into work after 3 months of graduating, and 80% plus of people into work from 6 months after they finish graduating from the bootcamp. A couple of different ways in which you will be able to find work after graduating, whether you interview with companies that are direct contacts of ours, where you're invited to interview and you pick up the interview, or whether you find jobs yourselves that you're interested in and you go for interview after a bit of help with us looking at your CV and giving you some interview prep. So there's a couple of different ways that you could find work after you graduate, but we do aim for that 67% after 3 months of graduating and 80% after 6 months of graduating. Bella, you have a question that you've applied, but you couldn't get to book a meeting. It's all fully booked. When we get a response? Sorry about that. It's please, can you send an email to my colleague Dan at the IT inbox about that? So that's IT Support Program at .org. If you please send an email with that exact same question to the inbox that I've just put in the chat, IT Support Program at generation.org. My colleague Dan or Yaz will pick that up with you and will give you a link to a meeting that you can join. Sorry about that. Cool. Next one is T. You have a question about will you complete any certification exam? So this program, you'll get your certification from us, and you'll also get some access to LinkedIn Learning to get like additional small badges and certs for your LinkedIn profile to kind of prove your competencies. There's no set large exam at the end of the bootcamp. It is continuous assessment. So there is, at the end of every module, you will have a small assessment to just double check on your learning. And then there is a little bit of group work and a little bit of project work towards the end. But in short, it is continuous assessment, and there's no big stressful exam at the end. Dr. Virus 129, will work in industry be remote, or you need to go into an office or workspace? This is fully dependent on the job that you find. There are still, excuse me, the industry is much less remote than it was during COVID. So since 2020, things went really remote, and now they are mostly hybrid. And a lot of the roles that we're seeing at the moment are hybrid, where you might have a day or two at home, but a lot of the roles will be in the office a good bit of the time. And this is true across the whole IT industry, not just the roles that we pick up. And especially for starting IT support, there's a lot of office basing, but again, it'll depend on the company and depend on the role. Kiki, you have a question about, should you move house before the completion of the online course? Will that affect your potential placement after the bootcamp? Kiki, I'm not sure if you mean moving house to like a different part of the country or just moving to a different part of the same city that you're in. If it's the same city, it shouldn't affect your placement at all, because placement is like, it's up to you whether you want to pick up a job or not, depending on where in the country the role is, or depending on where in your locality the role is. So no, it shouldn't really affect your potential placement after the bootcamp. If you did happen to move to a part of the country where we don't have a base, you may need to find, like, you'll be leaning then more on finding a role yourself. So what I mean by that is in the parts of the UK, and I'm going to pull up a slide for this, in the parts of the UK where Generation has a base, it's this slide. So in Manchester, Scotland, Yorkshire, London, West Mids, Ireland, and for this bootcamp, London, Yorkshire, and Bristol, we have staff whose role it is in these areas to connect with employers, tell employers what our bootcamps are, what the training is, and when we have graduates. And then employers will tell us what roles they have available to interview for, and you can go directly to interview for those. If you're moving house to like a different area within these same regions, that's still more than fine. There's still going to be employers around. But if you move to like a completely different part of the country, then we wouldn't be able to find an employer for you to interview with, but you could find those yourself, and we will help you with the interview prep and with preparing your CV and cover letter. Next is Angela. When will we know if we have been accepted for the course? So Friday this week, which is Friday the 5th, is the very last day for group tasks and interviews for this program. Then the last day for mentor calls is Tuesday the 9th, which is next week, Tuesday. Then the curriculum team, so the learning manager, the head of learning, and some other people involved with the curriculum will meet on Wednesday to look at all of the applicants and decide on the classroom makeup. Then the offers will be sent out by Friday the 12th. So that's next week Friday will be when the offers for this program go out. And then there will be 2 weeks of induction where you'll meet your mentor again, you'll meet your whole class, and we'll have time to process any laptop or Wi-Fi requests that anybody has. And then you will start the bootcamp after those 2 weeks on the 29th of January. Lisa, you ask whether you'll complete the CompTIA ITF course. No, we don't. We don't do the CompTIA ITF. That is a different training to this one. Our curriculum's been designed at a global level where we have identified that IT support is an industry that is highly in demand, where there are lots of employers who are looking for people trained in this, but there are not enough people trained in it. So what we've done is we have collaborated with employers to identify what are the exact hard and soft skills that they're looking for, and then we've developed a curriculum that designs those, or that implements those exact hard and soft skills. And then 2 years ago, Microsoft also informed us that people would be a lot more employable with the cybersecurity element. So that's why this bootcamp has gone from being 8 weeks of IT support to now being 8 weeks of IT support, but also 1 week of cybersecurity attached, so that in the future, in a couple of years' time, if you wanted to pivot into IT security or into, cybersecurity, you would have like a fundamental underneath you, so you wouldn't be starting completely from scratch. Ian, you ask a question about, you filled in your form but not yet completed because your application has been locked, so you're not sure if you've been accepted. Sorry about that, Ian. Can you please do the same as what I said to Bella? If you could please send an email to the same IT support program at generation.org inbox. and one of my colleagues will pick that up this evening or tomorrow morning, and we'll have a look and see why your application's been locked. Thanks. I've sent the email. I was told to keep an eye out if there is a slot available. Yeah, Alexandra, there should be slots available right now. I will double check that live. Whether there are slots available for booking into a group task and a interview. Yes, there are currently 8 slots available tomorrow afternoon, 2 of them at 1 p.m. and 6 of them at 3 p.m. So if you go back to that Calendly link where you originally didn't see anything available, there are slots available now for tomorrow afternoon. Lisa, you ask what will be expected during the group assessment. It's like a tongue twister. So like I kind of mentioned above, the curriculum is designed very much to replicate what it's like to actively be doing the role. And so a lot of the group assessments are based around scenarios or role playing. So like if you're in this situation, you would do XYZ, with the idea that then when you found your first role in the industry, nothing really would be surprising, or it would be much easier to cope and catch up because you've kind of done it before. So the assessments will be very much grounded in real life. There's not an awful amount of theory or like excess knowledge. You're taught the fundamentals. There is some technical competency that you need to pick up, but a lot of it is around systems and like the fundamentals to get in. Kritika, you ask, how can we request a laptop or device to attend the training? So one of the things, I'm just trying to pull up a slide because I know I talk about this on one of my slides. So one of the ways in which we help people who I think it's on this one, yes. One of the ways in which we assist people who may not be able to practically access the training is that we have a number of refurbished laptops and Wi-Fi dongles that we can send out to you if you need one. So if your laptop or your internet aren't strong enough to be able to join a Zoom call for the whole day, we have some devices that we can share with you. So we would send it to you before the bootcamp starts. You would use it during the bootcamp, and then you would send it back to us at the end. How you request this is you can mention it to your mentor when you do your one-to-one mentor call, and then when you receive your offer form, if you're successful, one of the boxes in the offer form that you can tick is whether you have stable Wi-Fi or whether you have a reliable internet connection, and if no, then there's a form you fill out that will be in your offer email that will just notify us what your needs are, and somebody will contact you and you can chat about it, and then if you need it, we will send it to you. And the same with this is the one right underneath the continued benefits. So if you are currently receiving any benefits from the JCP, like universal credit, you're able to continue to receive those while you're on the program. If you're successful, you would reply to your offer email to say that you're currently receiving UC, universal credit, and I'll write you a letter that you can share with your work coach so you can continue to receive your benefits. And you also shouldn't need to, I don't think you need to go and do your check-in meeting the program. The next question is from Loana, and you've asked, how can you progress from IT support to cybersecurity? I'm just pulling this up. Sorry, I'm not sure why it's not loading, but the question is, how will you progress from IT support to cybersecurity? So this slide kind of covers what your transition could look like. from the one pathway to the other. There aren't really entry-level cybersecurity roles. It's kind of been gate kept to a job path that you need like further training, like university degrees and so on, to get into. However, it is possible to switch into a cyber role if you are already working in the IT industry and you've kind of picked up cyber elements as part of your other jobs, and then you have transferable skills to move into it. So this pathway, this is one that you can pause and look at later. This is kind of like a sample pathway of where your career journey could go after you do a training course such as ours. So you can see, like, staying in gray, you would stay in IT support and just move more senior and move into like management of people and like be more senior in an IT support role. The light blue track then is if you stay in IT support, but then you move into more of a technical role, so like in networking or engineering or architecture. And then the dark blue line is how you would move from like IT support into a more technical role and then switching into cybersecurity after 3 to 5 years, depending on your company and the career track you've gotten yourself on. So the next question then from Ames is a question about just a practical one of how many people do we take. So our bootcamps are popular. Generally, we receive about 10 applications for every space that there is on a program. Our classrooms aren't super large because we want to give everybody the chance to have as much one-to-one contact with the instructor and the mentor as possible. Our classrooms are usually about 25, 27 people. So we do have a cap of about, in terms of your application, what we're looking for is we want people who are engaged, who are enthusiastic about this career path, and are able to kind of demonstrate how they have shown an interest in this career already, but but there's been like a barrier, some sort of blocker between where you are today and where you want to get to. Alexandra, you've mentioned a group task. So it is possible to get your application finished between now and then. If you go and book onto a group task now, you'll be able to still be able to get everything done by the 5th. There is another IT support bootcamp starting in March, if this turnaround feels too tight. So yeah, all should be fine. Durant, you have a question about Bristol being a new region for generation, potential employers we have a relationship with here. From my work within the admissions team, I am not 100% sure about which employers the partnerships team have been in contact with. I imagine that they will have started with some of the larger employers that have taken on more people from us that also have hubs around the Bristol region. We wouldn't have moved into a region unless there's been some business development in place, but I'm not able to name employers at the moment. Ian, you've got a question about you filled in the application form, but you're not sure you've completed it because it's telling me my form is being viewed. I'm not really sure what that error is that you're getting. Are you maybe talking that your documents have been uploaded, but they've stayed yellow because they've not been reviewed yet? If that's the issue, then please don't worry. The document review will happen next week. So those should turn from yellow to green within the next week. If it's another error that you're getting, please could you maybe take a screenshot and send it to the email inbox, and we will get back to you on whatever the issue is that you are describing. So a quick overview as we're coming to the end of our time. Acknowledge that it is a bit of a tight turnaround between now and the bootcamp offers. So if you have, so the last interviews are tomorrow and Friday. And if you have not signed up yet for a group task or an interview, there are slots available for tomorrow afternoon at 1 and at 3 p.m. And if you don't have the link for that, please send an email and you'll get the link sent back to you. Otherwise, once you've finished with your group task and interview, the final step is a mentor call. Those are happening beginning of next week, and then the offers are out by the end of next week. So if there are just where to sign up. So if there are any final questions, please drop them into the chat now. So Bella, please send a email to our IT inbox and the link will be sent back to you. That inbox there. Yeah, so Angela and Eugene, you've both asked similar questions about the documents. So because we are funded by the Department for Education and some private funding, we need to ensure that everybody has eligibility to take the program. And that eligibility then allows us to draw down funds so that we can offer the program completely free of charge to you. So we ask you to upload certain documents that prove your eligibility, being that you live within a catchment area, and then you have the right to work in the UK, and that you have been in the UK for 3 years, and that you are currently unemployed or underemployed. And I'm just going to pull up the slide that talks about this while I keep going. If you'll give me a moment to find the slide. Here, and there's a typo here. It should be London, not Liverpool. So Yorkshire, Bristol, and London. So we request 2 documents are uploaded. One will prove that you are over the age of 19, and one of them, so one will prove you're over the age of 19 and that you have the legal right to work in the UK. The other one will show where you live and also your current employment status. The 2 documents, once they've been uploaded to the portal, that bit of the portal will turn yellow, and the yellow means that it's been received, but it hasn't been manually reviewed yet. Once it has been manually reviewed, it will turn green if everything is good. But if there's a follow-up question, then Dan or Yasmin will reach out to you by email. We don't review information unless we need to, so we wait until candidates have kind of finished their group tasks and interviews and done their mentor calls before we do the review, because we don't want to process your data until we need to. So those will be done next week, and if there are any questions about the documents, my colleague will reach out to you. Otherwise, you'll expect to see them turn green before you receive your offer form. Cool. So, Sir PK, you've got a question about interview. So there are a couple of stages to the application, and acknowledge that the application process is a little bit long. And the logic behind that is that we want to get a really good sense of your background and your interests and what you learned from your career, and kind of give you the best chance of kind of representing your background and your interests. These dates, we've extended the group task dates through to the 5th of January. So this is a little bit outdated, but the application and the online task, we want you to please finish that as soon as possible. Then there is one Zoom call that lasts about an hour, which involves a group task and an interview. Group task is, some of you on the call have already done it. It's a call with a couple of other candidates where you solve a problem together collaboratively to get a chance to show off your soft skills or your transferable skills. And then the interview is one-to-one for 30 minutes with a member of our staff to talk a bit about your background and why you've applied for this program. Then the final step is a call with one of our mentors, which lasts about 20 minutes. And those are up until the beginning of next week. And then offer letters are out on the 12th. Bella, you have a question about where you live in London. Does it cover the southeast of England? It covers the Greater London area. The definition of that is a little bit vague, but we tend to define it as within commuting distance of a role in London. So if you think that applies to you, then you should be eligible. And then Kiki, you've got a question about being possible to self-fund, which is a great question. The short answer is no. As a charity, we don't do self-funded places. All of our places are free and funded by the DFE and some other sources. Yeah, so we don't offer self-funded places. They're all covered by they're all covered by our charitable income. Could I please send you today's slide presentation? Sure. What I'll do is I'll just drop if you give me a second, the last thing I will do before we log off is I'll drop a copy of a link to the slides in this chat. If you just give me a moment, I will find the slides. They're here, and I want to share them. Anyone with the link is able to view. Cool. I'm just going to drop them into the chat here, so you all have a copy of the slides. And as always, I've sent the link to the inbox. If there are any follow-up questions, please reach out there. Somebody will get back to you shortly. One last question from Eugene. Is the application process all we need to do? Wait for the interview and the group task? Yes. So fill in your details, sign up for a group task, and then wait for the group task to happen. At the end of the group task, you're booked into a mentor call, and then your application is done. Yeah, so I hope everybody has a lovely evening. As you can see, it's gotten fully dark here for me. Hope you have a good evening and talk to you soon again.